the man who carried silent wounds. The night was quiet. But inside Keanu Reeves' heart, there was no peace. People saw him as strong, humble, and kind. But behind the smile, he carried wounds no one could see. Life had tested him again and again. He had faced losses that could break any soul, yet he walked forward, giving kindness to the world, even when he had little left for himself. That evening, he sat alone by the window of his home. Outside, the city glowed with life, laughter, and noise. But inside, the silence was heavy. His career was respected, fans admired him, strangers loved to share stories of his humility. But none of those things could quiet the ache in his chest. Deep down, he wondered if his heart would ever truly heal. Just as he was lost in thought, a soft voice broke the silence. Alexandra Grant stood at the doorway, her presence calm and warm. She had been by his side for some time, but tonight she carried something different in her eyes, something that reached deeper than friendship. "You give so much to everyone," she said gently, "but who gives to you?" The question startled Keanu. Few people ever asked him that. Most admired him from a distance, but Alexandra saw beyond the surface. She saw the man who stayed behind after parties, the man who sat quietly in the corner so others could shine, the man who carried grief like a shadow, yet still offered light to strangers. For a moment, he had no words. Then he whispered, "I don't know if I deserve it." Alexandra walked closer, her voice steady. "You deserve everything you have given others. Respect, patience, love. You've spent so long healing others. Let someone heal you." Her words struck deep, shaking walls he had built for years. Keanu turned his face away, afraid she would see the pain he rarely let anyone see. But Alexandra did not step back. She sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his. The warmth of her touch was simple, yet it felt like the first time in years that his heart remembered how to beat without sorrow pressing it down. But healing was not simple. The wounds inside him were not just scars. They were memories of people he had loved and lost, of moments he wished he could change. Could kindness and love truly mend what pain had broken? As he looked at Alexandra, a thought entered his mind. Maybe healing did not come all at once. Maybe it came piece by piece, from rare souls who cared enough to see the man behind the smile. The night grew darker outside, but for Keanu, a new light had begun to shine quietly inside. He did not know it yet, but Alexandra's presence would set off a journey filled with moments of love, fear, and trials that would test them both. It would not be easy. Their bond would face storms, doubts, and choices that could break them. But for the first time in years, Keanu felt a whisper of hope. And hope, no matter how small, can change everything. The fear of opening the heart. The next morning, sunlight poured into the room, but Keanu still felt the heaviness of the night before. Alexandra's words echoed in his mind. "Let someone heal you." Those words were powerful, but they also frightened him. He had built his life on resilience, learning to survive pain by keeping his heart guarded. Every time he had opened it fully, life had taken someone away. Now, as Alexandra's presence grew closer, he feared history would repeat itself. Alexandra noticed his silence during breakfast. She placed a cup of coffee in front of him and asked softly, "What are you thinking about?" Keanu hesitated. "Sometimes I feel like I'm cursed. Every time I let someone close, I lose them. Maybe I'm not meant to have that kind of happiness." Her eyes filled with sadness, but her voice was steady. "Keanu, pain doesn't mean you're cursed. It means you've loved deeply. And love, no matter how much it hurts, is never wasted." Her words warmed him, but also stirred his fear. He wanted to believe her, yet part of him felt he was protecting her by keeping distance. Later that day, they attended a small gathering. People laughed, music played, and everyone seemed full of life. Alexandra moved easily in the crowd, but Keanu stayed near the edge, his quiet nature pulling him away from the noise. As he stood there, a man approached and whispered something cruel. "How do you do it, Reeves? Always smiling when everyone knows your life is tragedy after tragedy.
Maybe you just pretend to be kind because it's all you've got left." The words cut deeper than the man realized. Keanu stayed calm on the outside, but inside his chest tightened. He thought of Alexandra across the room, laughing gently with friends. He thought of how easy it would be for his brokenness to hurt her too. When Alexandra noticed him standing alone, she walked over. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," he lied, but Alexandra could see through him. "Don't do that," she whispered. "Don't hide from me. If you want me to walk with you, you have to let me see the dark parts too." Keanu looked into her eyes, searching for doubt, for hesitation. But instead, he saw strength. She wasn't afraid of his pain. She wanted to share it, even if it was heavy. That night, when they returned home, Keanu sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "You don't understand. Being close to me means being close to storms. My life is not safe. I don't want you to regret choosing me." Alexandra placed her hand gently on his face. "Maybe storms are where love proves its strength. I'm not afraid of your storms, Keanu. I'm afraid of a life without you." Her voice trembled, but her conviction was clear. Keanu felt his defenses begin to break. Yet in the back of his mind, a warning whispered. Every time he let hope in, life tested him harder. He did not know it yet, but that test was coming. Soon, both of them would face a challenge that would decide if their love could survive the storm or be torn apart by it. The first crack in the silence. Days passed with a fragile calm. Keanu and Alexandra shared quiet walks, late conversations, and small moments that felt like pieces of healing. Yet under the surface, fear still lived in Keanu's heart. He wanted to give her everything, but the thought of losing her haunted him. One evening, as they were leaving an art exhibit, the sound of cameras and shouting voices filled the street. Paparazzi rushed toward them, flashing lights into their faces. "Keanu, is this your new love?" one shouted. "Alexandra, how long have you been together?" another asked. Keanu shielded Alexandra, guiding her quickly into the car. Inside, Alexandra's hands trembled slightly. She had always been private, and this sudden storm of attention unsettled her. "I'm sorry," Keanu whispered as he started the car. "I should have known this would happen." She shook her head. "You don't need to apologize, but I didn't realize how heavy your world really is." Those words cut him deeply. He feared they carried a hidden meaning, that maybe his life was too much for her. Later that night, while Alexandra worked in her studio, Keanu sat alone in the living room. His phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It read, "You don't deserve her. Don't drag her into your tragedies." Keanu's hand tightened around the phone. He had received cruel messages before, but this one struck where he was weakest. It echoed the very fear he carried inside, that he would only bring pain to Alexandra's life. When Alexandra walked into the room, she noticed the change in his face. "What happened?" she asked softly. He hid the phone, forcing a smile. "Nothing important." But Alexandra was not convinced. "Don't shut me out," she whispered. "If we are going to face this together, I need the truth." Keanu struggled. He wanted to protect her from the cruelty of the world, but by hiding it, was he building a wall between them? Before he could answer, a sudden knock at the door startled them both. When Keanu opened it, a small envelope lay on the ground. No sender, no address, just his name written in bold letters. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single photograph. Alexandra, taken from a distance earlier that day, walking alone on the street. On the back, a message was scrawled, "Keep her close, or lose her forever." Alexandra saw his face turn pale. "What is it?" she asked, stepping closer. Keanu hesitated, but finally handed her the photo. Her breath caught, fear flashing in her eyes. "Keanu, what does this mean?" He clenched his jaw, his voice low. "It means the storm has already found us." He wrapped his arms around her, but deep inside he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. Someone wanted to test his strength, his patience, his love, and the price of failing would not just be his own heart, but Alexandra's safety too. The choice no heart wants to make. The night was heavy with silence after the photograph arrived.
Alexandra sat on the couch, holding the picture in her hands, her eyes wide with fear. Keanu paced the room slowly, his thoughts torn between anger and dread. Whoever had sent the message knew too much, and that meant Alexandra's safety was already in danger. Finally, Alexandra broke the silence. Keanu, who would do this? Why target me? Keanu stopped walking and looked at her with tired eyes. Not you, Alexandra. They're targeting me. You're only in danger because you're close to me. Her lips trembled. Then maybe I should step back. Those words hit him like a knife. He wanted to pull her close, to promise her protection, but his deepest fear whispered that she was right. His life had always carried storms, and anyone who stood beside him risked being pulled into the chaos. I can't lose you, he said softly, his voice breaking. But I can't put you in harm's way either. Alexandra reached for his hand. Keanu, listen to me. I chose to be here. Love isn't only about sharing peace. It's about walking together through storms. Don't push me away because you're scared. Her strength amazed him, yet fear still weighed on his chest. The next morning, Keanu decided to meet an old friend in private. Someone who once worked in security, a man he trusted. In a quiet cafe, he slid the photo across the table. The friend studied it, then looked up. This isn't random. Whoever sent this is organized. They're warning you before they strike harder. So what do I do? Keanu asked. The man leaned in. You protect her at all costs. And you prepare yourself. Because they're not just testing you, they're trying to break you. Keanu returned home with a heavy heart. Alexandra was painting in her studio, the colors on her canvas full of life and hope. She looked up as he entered, and her smile soft, but he saw the fear still hiding in her eyes. Did you find out anything? She asked. He nodded. Yes, and it means we can't pretend anymore. This isn't just about us. Someone out there wants to make sure we don't stand together. Alexandra set down her brush and walked to him. Then let's show them we will. Her courage gave him strength. But that night, as they tried to rest, a loud noise shattered the quiet. Glass broke in the kitchen and the alarm blared. Keanu rushed down the hall, heart pounding, only to find the window shattered and another envelope on the floor. Inside was a single note. You can't protect what you love. Keanu's hands shook as he read it. Alexandra stood behind him, her face pale but steady. He whispered, They want me to believe I'm powerless. Alexandra touched his shoulder. Then prove them wrong. Keanu looked at her, a fire rising inside him. For years, he had carried pain quietly. But now, with Alexandra's heart at risk, he knew silence would no longer protect them. He would have to fight. Not for fame, not for himself, but for the woman who had begun to heal his broken heart. The confrontation in the dark, the shattered window left a chill in the house, but Keanu's resolve burned hotter than fear. He refused to let threats decide his future. Alexandra stood beside him, her hand gripping his tightly, her quiet strength giving him courage. The next day, Keanu went back to his trusted friend from security. I can't keep waiting for them to strike, he said. I need to know who's behind this. The friend nodded. I've been digging. There's a name. A man with money and power. Someone who doesn't like how you've been using your influence quietly to help others. Your kindness makes noise in places he wants silence. Hurting you, or those close to you, is his way of control. Keanu clenched his jaw. He had never cared for power games, but he knew too well how dangerous the powerful could be when threatened. Then I'll face him, he said. That night, a message arrived on his phone. No threats this time, just an address and a time. Come alone, or she pays the price. Keanu showed it to Alexandra, her eyes filled with worry. They want to lure you into a trap. I know, he replied, but I can't let them keep control over us. I have to end this. Alexandra's voice trembled. Then let me come with you. He shook his head gently. You've already given me strength, Alexandra, but this storm is mine to walk into. Trust me. The address led him to an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the city. The air smelled of rust and dust. Shadows stretched across the broken walls. Keanu walked in slowly, his footsteps echoing. In the center of the room, a tall man waited with 2 guards at his side. His smile was sharp, cruel. "Ah, Keanu Reeves," he said. "The man the world calls humble. The man who plays the hero even off-screen. But heroes don't win here." Keanu's eyes stayed calm. "Then what do you want from me?" The man leaned forward. "Simple. Walk away from her. End it now. If you don't, she'll be destroyed, not by my hands, but by the weight of being tied to your cursed life. I'll make sure of it." Keanu's chest tightened. This man had found the one fear that lived deepest inside him, losing Alexandra. But instead of breaking, Keanu stepped closer, his voice steady. "You think pain makes me weak, but it doesn't. It makes me stronger. You can threaten me. You can try to break me, but you will never own my heart, and you will never silence kindness." The guards moved, but Keanu didn't flinch. His friend, who had been waiting outside, entered with reinforcements. Suddenly, the man who thought he had control found himself surrounded. The guards hesitated, unsure. The tall man's smile faded. "You don't know what you're risking," he growled. Keanu's eyes locked on his. "I'm risking nothing compared to losing her. And you'll never understand, because love isn't something you can buy, threaten, or destroy." Sirens wailed in the distance. Police, called by Keanu's friend, closing in. The man cursed, realizing the trap had turned against him. Keanu stood tall, his heart racing, not with fear, but with relief. He had chosen not to run from the storm, but to face it head-on. And now, at last, the storm was breaking. The heart begins to heal. The warehouse echoed with the sound of police rushing in, their voices sharp as they took control of the scene. The man who had sent the threats was led away in handcuffs, his power stripped, his arrogance gone. Keanu stood still, breathing deeply, the weight of weeks of fear finally loosening from his chest. Outside, under the pale glow of the streetlights, Alexandra waited. When she saw him step out, her eyes filled with tears. She ran to him, wrapping her arms tightly around his shoulders. "I thought I'd lose you," she whispered. Keanu held her close, his voice low but steady. "You'll never lose me. Not while I can still stand." She pulled back, looking into his eyes. "You risked everything tonight. Why?" He took her hands gently in his. "Because for so long I believed I didn't deserve to be healed. I thought pain was all I was meant to carry. But you showed me something different. You reminded me that love doesn't erase scars, but it gives them meaning. I couldn't let anyone take that from us." Alexandra's eyes softened, her smile tender. "Then let's carry the scars together." The days that followed were quiet. The threats disappeared, the danger faded, and life slowly returned to calm. Yet something inside Keanu had changed. He no longer looked at himself as a man cursed by loss. He began to see himself as a man who had endured storms and still found the strength to give love. He and Alexandra spent long evenings walking hand in hand, painting their days with laughter and quiet moments. Keanu still had his shadows, but now he didn't face them alone. Whenever fear returned, Alexandra's steady voice reminded him, "Storms are where love proves its strength." On his next birthday, friends gathered again. The room glowed with candles and laughter, but this time Keanu wasn't distant. He stood tall, Alexandra's hand in his smile genuine. When everyone fell quiet for his words, he spoke softly, yet his voice carried through every heart. "Life tested me in ways I thought I'd never survive. I carried pain for years, thinking it was my punishment. But what I've learned is this: pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you loved, you cared, you lived. And love can heal even the deepest wounds." Alexandra reminded me of that. And for that, I'm grateful. The room erupted with warmth, but Keanu's eyes stayed on Alexandra. She smiled at him, her gaze steady.
her presence the anchor he had long searched for. And in that moment, Keanu realized the truth. His heart was no longer just surviving. It was healing, piece by piece, held gently in the hands of someone who believed in him. The man once defined by storms was now defined by love. And sometimes that is the greatest victory of all.